Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Jay.
All right, Jim, last night, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets came up short in their game against the Bills, 23-20. The Bills win the game. Your thoughts on Rodgers and the Jets? I mean, they fired their head coach. You get somebody else, and typically that infuses something, but they just didn't get it done anyway last night.
No, and, it's really two pretty talented teams that aren't playing all that well right now. The Jets' defense is good, but they really let the Buffalo do whatever they wanted in the first half. They tightened up the second half. And honestly, if the Bills don't let Aaron Rodgers complete a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, they're saying, my God, the Jets scored 13 points against a defense that isn't that good. Jets offense, they can look good here and there, but they still don't know what they're doing. I mean, I typically don't like the cliche that we don't know what their identity is or whatever, but in this case, they've got two excellent running backs. They have, a star wide receiver and, decent enough talent at the other receiver and tight end positions. And they just, they're not really good at running it. They're not really good at throwing it. They're not really good at throwing deep. They don't really throw it well in the West Coast scheme. Garrett Wilson has become more productive the last few weeks. Other than that, it just looks like a bad team.
Is it coaching?
Well, it's kind of two teams, right? The defense is good. Maybe not as good as it should be, but it's a good defense. And the offense has been a mess. And we've seen some glimpses of Rodgers' old, the quick release and the accuracy, but we haven't seen a lot of it. I just think it's a bad organization. And when you have a bad organization, you're going to tend to blame, each coach and each quarterback who comes through. But it's a terrible organization.
Jim, in the baseball playoffs yesterday, the Mets, big start to that game, and they end up winning the game 7-3 against the Dodgers, holding them off to even the series one apiece. And then the Yankees at home beat the Guardians 5-2 last night. Thoughts on what happened in baseball yesterday?
Yeah, Rodon, his previous postseason start just kind of freaked out. Was too amped up to start, couldn't really finish it off. Last night he finished it off. Yankees, if the Yankees get Judge going, they're pretty scary good. Juan Soto, one of the best hitters in the game. Giancarlo Stanton's probably their third or fourth best offensive player. You're pretty good when that's the case. So it looks like a mismatch. I hope Cleveland can make it a series. I usually root for the smaller market team for obvious reasons. Dodgers against the Mets. We all know how good the Dodgers are, how talented they are. And the Mets are just one of those teams that has some grit and will take big at bats. Francisco Lindor has been fantastic for them. Another homer yesterday. That series is already interesting.
Jim, one thing we didn't talk much about yesterday, and I guess at all, was the Twins ownership situation. Are there some names that are starting to emerge as possibilities to buy the Twins?
There are a lot of rumors right now. I don't know exactly what's true. And I've covered a bunch of ownership changes in my life, and I'm a little cautious about the names you hear. Usually, a lot of times they're promoted by people who want their name out there, who want to be recognized as a player or somebody who has more money than they actually do. So I don't pay a whole lot of attention to rumors at this stage.
Do you think the Wilfs or Glenn Taylor, are they not likely to want to be interested in buying the Twins?
Glenn Taylor has his plate full, he likes basketball, and he has maybe the two best teams in town right now. He has no interest in owning the Twins. The Wilfs, I don't think they have any interest in baseball they're doing great right now, and they have built a good reputation here. Whoever owns the Twins is probably going to lose money and get ridiculed for not spending more money.
That sounds like a great job to have then, and you'd be spending a lot of money to do it.
Yeah. Listen, somebody will do it. It only takes one, and there's some egomaniac out there who wants to be known as a championship owner who will buy it. But it's listen, it's not a terrible situation. It's a great ballpark. It's a good market. Maybe once they really figure out the TV, how to make money with the TV end of it, maybe payroll goes up, and helps the small markets out. But if you lose and you don't spend $200 million a year, then you will be vilified. That we've already established that.
One of the things that this Twins organization does, and I'm not sure that other baseball organizations, in fact, I think very few do, is the Twins Caravan, which we see come through St. Cloud every year. They have the Twins Community Fund. They have their Miracle League that they do, and they do a lot of different things for the community. Is that just assumed? Do we take that for granted that they do that?
I think modern sports organizations are really good about that. I think all the local teams do a lot of good works. I think the Twins were ahead of their time with some of the stuff. And as you said, the Twins Caravan is unique. That's just an amazing thing they do that very few professional sports teams do. So, and listen, I think the average Twins fan doesn't. It's almost like you have to talk about it in four phases, right? You had Carl buying the team, hiring Aaron McPhail. They win 2 World Series. What more could you want, right? Then baseball's economics change. Carl wants a new stadium. Carl starts making up fake buyers. He starts lying to the public, trying to blackmail them into a stadium. He strips the payroll because he doesn't think the team has a chance to compete in that system. So he's a terrible owner for a good stretch there. Then then Bob and Jim Pohlad take over. Jim ends up taking the reins. And from that point on, they were stable, but not spending to the level that, certain fans want them to. It kept Target Field in perfect condition. It's 14 years old. It looks brand new. It's fantastic. They take care of their top employees. They don't meddle, and they don't spend as much money as people like. And then the fourth phase is Joe Pohlad coming over with some optimism, getting in there, going, "My God, what did I get myself into here?"
Jim, some other things going on. Coy Parrish, the safety for the Gophers, true freshman, had a couple of interceptions in the Gophers' win against UCLA. He was named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. How good can he be?
He is already like a really good NFL prospect. Speed, explosiveness, feel for the game, ability to break on the ball. How many times in our lives have we seen defensive backs who can get to the ball but can't really do anything with it? He plays like a receiver back there. He's tough. Punt returning is a great test of athletic ability. He's already very good at it. He makes big plays. I just don't know what more you want out of a freshman.
What's interesting, I thought, in Saturday's game is that there are times where he could have called for a fair catch. Maybe he'll get a little bit better about that, but he doesn't seem like he wants to call fair catches.
No, he does not like fair catching. I agree. I think they should teach him to fair catch. You don't want to lose. Might be your best player, and might be your best player for the next 4 years because he gets drilled on a punt return. But you admire the gumption.
Jim, what do you think about how Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo are blending together? We've seen them play together. It seems like they have a nice rapport already. How are things going with those guys in the backcourt?
Well, I think DiVincenzo is really easy to play with. There are only really 2 points of intrigue with this lineup right now. One is who's going to be in the rotation, how many minutes can you really give some of the good players who won't be in the rotation. The other question is who's the backup point guard. And right now it looks like DiVincenzo might take some backup point guard minutes, which, if you can still get him involved as a 3-point shooter, that'd be fine. Anthony Edwards is probably going to do some backup point guard stuff. So they're probably going to both play that role. I just think Edwards, he's an unselfish player, and it's really up to DiVincenzo to just find good spots to spot up for the 3. Because if Edwards draws a double, he is willing and able to get the ball to you. And DiVincenzo is a great 3-point shooter. So, I don't know if we'll see any small man pick and roll or if it'll just be Edwards creating and DiVincenzo looking for the open spot.
Are we going to see less Rob Dillingham based on what you're just talking about there?
Well, I don't think he's ready to be a heavy minute backup point guard on a team with aspirations right this moment. He's going to have to work his way in there. He's very talented, very creative, can get his own shot. But I don't know that he's a finished product right now, and I think Finch is probably going to look for good spots to use him.
Jim, the Vikings are back at practice, getting set to play the Lions on Sunday. TJ Hawkinson going to play in that game?
It's feeling like it. We're probably not going to know until Wednesday afternoon, first injury report. and the day O'Connell kind of speaks about this game for the first time. So we're probably 36 hours away from having a better window. But the point of taking him to London was to keep him working with the team and see how his leg responded to different circumstances. But I think they really want him this week.
Jim, what do you think about we're seeing more and more NFL players wear those different style helmets? I forget the name of them, more cushiony style. And I see logos. I think a couple of Bills players were wearing those. Do you think the NFL should transition more players to that?
I've always thought so. I always thought, the NFL always wanted to protect the image of the league, the tough guy league, the hard shell helmet that everybody loves, having as a souvenir or a symbol. I care more about their brains than, that bit of marketing. So I really, two things have happened. The technology of the helmet's gotten better. The ability to wrap the helmet has been introduced. The other thing is, remember when people used to say, oh, they can't, they just have to deal with head first hits. That's just the way the game is played. When was the last time? How often do you see an intentional spearing head first hit anymore? Nobody does it anymore. All they had to do was tighten the rules, and it went away. So I do think I can't say the league is safer, but I think they've made strides in the way people tackle, the way people hit, the way things are penalized. And if somebody wants to wear one of those, they wear four of them as far as I'm concerned. I don't know that the league's ever going to go to all cushioned helmets. What I wonder is that, if they can develop the technology to make a soft helmet look like the old traditional hard helmet. That's what I think is probably the next development.
All right, Jim, what do you got in your podcast?
Let's see, Chin Music Up. It's Roy Lavelle and myself, all kinds of Twins and playoff stuff. That's at talknorth.com. Check out the John Krasinski Show on the Wolves, Randy Shaver on high school football, Mike Grimm on the Gophers, Kevin Gorga on hockey. Everything's at talknorth.com or on your favorite podcast app. All
right, Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
It's Jim Souhan, Star Tribune sports columnist, joining us every weekday morning at this time. Follow him on Twitter at SouhanStrib. Check out his latest column in the Star Tribune or his podcast at talknorth.com. Jim, once again, today brought to you by the Green Mill in downtown St. Cloud. Dream Getaway 81. Your first code word of the day is WRIST. W-R-I-S-T. WRIST. Type that in. You can win a vacation of a lifetime. First code word is WRIST. W-R-I-S-T. News is next. It's brought to you by Executive Express.